If you've ever found yourself asking, what's wrong with me? Why don't I fit in? Or why does everyone else seem to know how to do life except me? I want to tell you something before we begin. Sister, there is nothing wrong with you. You may simply be carrying a story that was never yours. Hi, I'm Joanne. These aren't lectures, they're conversations between the woman I am today and the younger versions of myself. And my hope is that somewhere along the way, you'll recognize a younger version of yourself too, because I don't believe healing is about fixing ourselves. I believe it's about remembering who we were before fear, shame, and other people's expectations convinced us to become someone else. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, get comfortable, and let's have a conversation. For years, I believed that people simply didn't like me. I felt like I didn't fit in with my family. I didn't fit in at school. I didn't fit in with friends. I often felt like the odd one out. And because I didn't understand what was happening, I spent years asking myself, what's wrong with me? Why don't I belong? Why do people react to me this way? I thought if I could just become a little more likable, a little prettier, a little sweeter, a little more useful, maybe I would finally be accepted. What I understand now is something very different. No one hated me. I was trying to fit into systems, relationships, and environments that required me to abandon myself. I was performing instead of living. I was measuring my worth through the eyes of people who often weren't even seeing me. One of the biggest things I've learned is this. Many people are not reacting to you. They're reacting to something being activated inside themselves. For years, I personalized other people's reactions. If someone was angry, I assumed I had done something wrong. If someone judged me, I assumed I needed to change. If someone pulled away, I assumed I wasn't enough. Now I understand that many people carry wounds, fears, beliefs, and unresolved pain that have very little to do with me. Understanding this helped me stop carrying projections that never belonged to me. One of the things that helped me understand this more clearly happened many years later. My father once told me that I was too happy to be around. And at first, that comment hurt. But over time, it became one of my greatest teachers because I started noticing something. He wasn't triggered by my daughter the way he was triggered by me. My daughter was confident, self-assured, funny, happy, and comfortable being herself. She didn't care what other people thought of her. And watching that helped me understand and realize something very important. Maybe people weren't always seeing us. Maybe they're seeing something inside themselves. Maybe they're reacting to a wound, a memory, a fear, a belief, something that has very little to do with us. And that realization changed my life because it helped me stop taking everything so personally. Another thing I've learned is that there is a difference between being seen and being projected upon. For most of my life, I confused attention with connection. I confused criticism with truth. I confused someone else's opinion with my worth. Today, I know the difference. Being seen feels safe, it feels calm, and it feels like I can exhale. Being seen feels like someone is genuinely curious about who I am. Projection feels different. Projection feels like someone is responding to a version of me that only exists inside their own mind. Learning that distinction changed everything. The pain wasn't that people rejected me. The pain was that I rejected myself in order to gain acceptance. I spent years trying to become who other people wanted me to be. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to belong. I wanted to fit in. I wanted approval. And without realizing it, I slowly drifted away from myself. And that strategy works for a while until one day you wake up and you realize that you've lost yourself. The healing began when I stopped asking, how do I get them to like me? And started asking, who am I when I'm not performing? I also began to understand that many of us are living inside stories that were handed to us. Stories about what it means to be a woman, stories about what it means to be successful, stories about what it means to be lovable, stories about what it means to belong. Many of those stories are not ours. They're inherited, they're cultural, they're generational. And sometimes they quietly convince us to abandon ourselves in order to fit in. No wonder so many women are exhausted and angry. No wonder so many women feel lost. We've spent years trying to satisfy expectations that were never designed to honor who we truly are. And perhaps the biggest thing I've learned is this. Sometimes not fitting in is guidance. For years, I thought not fitting in meant something was wrong with me. Now I see it differently. Sometimes not fitting in is your soul refusing to abandon itself. Sometimes the discomfort is guidance. Sometimes the loneliness is pointing you toward yourself. Sometimes the frustration is inviting you to stop performing and start listening. What I understand now is that many of the people who hurt us are carrying wounds we can't see. Understanding that doesn't excuse harmful behavior. It doesn't mean we tolerate poor treatment. It simply means we stop making their pain mean something about our worth. That shift allowed me to have compassion without carrying responsibility. It allowed me to give grace without taking on someone else's projections. And that has been incredibly freeing. The turning point in my life came when I stopped searching outside myself. I had spent years looking for belonging, for approval, validation, safety, permission. I kept thinking that if I could just find the right person, the right relationship, the right friend group, the right career, then I would finally feel whole. What I eventually discovered was that what I was searching for wasn't outside me at all. I was searching for myself. If my younger self were sitting across from me today asking, why does everyone hate me? I would smile and gently tell her, sister, no one hates you. You simply spent years trying to live according to stories that were never yours. Breathe. Calm your nervous system. Trust yourself. Stop chasing people who cannot truly see you. Find people whose energy feels warm. Find people whose energy feels safe. And while you're looking, become one of those people for yourself. Because healing isn't becoming someone else. It's remembering who you've always been. If today's conversation resonated with you and you'd like to explore your own journey more deeply, I offer Akashic Record readings and other resources designed to help women reconnect with themselves and their own inner wisdom. You'll find information below if it feels supportive for you. And if there's one thing I hope you remember today, it's this. Nothing is wrong with you. Trust your own truth. Be gentle with yourself and keep coming home to yourself. Friend, I'll see you in our next conversation.